Hello, everybody. It's Miss Kitty, aka Kiosha Davis, or Kiosha Davis, aka Miss Kitty. However you want to do it, all work it all the way around. But I'm back today. We're talking about overcoming rejection, and last time we was talking about why we suffer rejection, and I mentioned some things about when I was pregnant and had my son, as far as um, being married and forgot I was married and so we was dealing with the fact of unwanted conception. That was one of the things to rejection, um, open doors to rejection that I was talking about last time. So I'm going to give you some other examples. Some of them today may not have anything to do with conception, but just an example so you know what I'm talking about. But like I said before, that rejection is like a wound. So if you have a wound, a cut, or anything like that, and if you don't treat that cut properly or right away, then what happens is infection sets in. Okay? And so it keeps going and it causes infection, and then people get sick. Well, rejection is the same way. If rejection finds a door open and it goes through that door, it's like an infection set in. And so when we don't deal with it, or we keep being denial about it, especially when it's pointed out to us, or when we have to face it, and we don't face it, then it becomes, we operate in our lives through that same hurt and pain from which we suffered from the rejection. And so that rejection basically determines our choices that we make in life. Whether it be, a lot of times, bad choices. Sometimes it can fall into good choices, but a lot of times it's bad choices that we make because of our hurt and our pain that we suffer. So like I said, we talked about unwanted conception the last time, and we talked about, I pointed out different things about generational curses, and things like that, and physical abnormalities, and different things like physical abuse and verbal abuse, and we will dive into those things later. Emotional abuse. Um, and so I did say that, rejection doesn't enter just at a person at will. It has to have a door. That door has to be open for it to, happen. So, one example I would give you as far as an open door of rejection is, and it's based on a movie, but if you look at the movie, or the part in the movie, it shows you a lot of things of what happens. And so one movie that shows an open door to rejection is Wonder Woman. And I'm talking about Wonder Woman #1, the movie. And so with Wonder Woman, the if you want to call it the evil scientist, the evil doctor, I forgot what her name was, but she had the lady. She had the this mask on part of her face, and so what ended up happening is, I believe towards the end of during the movie, she was doing a whole lot of things. Um, she was making this gas for the evil general and stuff like that. And and if you want to fast forward to the end of the movie, the Wonder Woman was finna kill her, but she did not kill her because she began to see what this woman had went through and what she was dealing with. So you begin to see some of her rejection of what was going on with her. You don't see the full story, but you just see a glimpse, just a piece. And so if you look at the storyline, the general capitalized on her rejection that she endured from others. Other people rejecting her because of her face. Remember, I said she had a mask on her face, which was covering up some scarring that she had on her face. We don't know why or what happened, but you just see that mask covering her face, and then you see the mask come off later. Like I said, we don't know why, but she wanted to be loved and accepted. And when you see the movie, that's what she was striving for. She wanted to be loved and accepted, which, if you look at all of us, that's what all of us pretty much want, is to be loved and accepted. And some of us will go through any lengths to be loved and accepted. That's why people join gangs sometimes. It's because they want to be loved and accepted. If you look at people why they join certain organizations, it ain't all the time it's because they want brotherhood or sisterhood. It's because they want to fit in somewhere. It's sometimes it is they just want to, it's their motive might be different. But for a lot of people, when they join different things, it's because they want to be loved and accepted. That's how most of us, because we're creatures of love. We want love. We have to have love. But what happens is depending on what hurt and pain we've been through, that determines our outcome or the choices that we make. So sometimes we get in the wrong groups, okay? Or we get into groups that they are hurting the same way we're hurting. And if you got two dysfunctional people, or a handful of dysfunctional people that operate a whole bunch of hurt and pain, and nobody is trying to solve it, and everybody just operate out of this hurt and pain, you got chaos going on, and they're gonna hurt each other, or they're gonna hurt other people. They're gonna be together hurting other people, or they're gonna, like I said, hurt each other. So, talking about the evil scientist lady in Wonder Woman. Like I said, we don't know what happened to her. But the general played on the fact that she wanted to be loved and accepted. And he manipulated her into believing that he loved her and he accepted her. But he just wanted to use her and abuse her for what she was able to do. That happens a lot to everyone, to a lot of people. I look at different things in politics, and all this stuff that's going on is because somebody's been lied to or manipulated to be used for their own personal gain or purpose. And they feed off of the hurt and pain of someone. That's what happens a lot of times. And so when you look at this lady, is that, like I said, she wants to be loved and accepted. One thing that God has helped me with in this is forgiving others that cause rejection, so that not only that they can be forgiven, but that door in my heart can be closed. The rejection can be shut. That door can be shut and shut permanently. And how I did that and how God blessed me to do that was empathy. Empathy and love. And you say, well, how do you do that, or how did that happen? Was, like I said, towards the end of the movie, Wonder Woman was going to kill this woman. And this is how. What God showed me and told me was, I had to understand, and I had to see the root and the reason why people do what they do, and understand that the reason why they're doing it is because of their own hurt and pain. So I had to be empathetic, not sympathetic. I had to be empathetic, meaning if I'm going to be empathetic, I had to put myself in their shoes. Because if I put myself in their shoes, then I will understand. I would operate the same way. I would do the same thing. If a person is manipulated or rejected early on, and they're manipulated to do something, of course they're going to act evil, or of course they're going to act bad, or of course they're going to have low self-esteem, or of course they're going to do a lot of things, because this sometimes is what's being groomed in them to do, or like I said, they suffered this from birth. So it's easy for us to sit up and say, I wouldn't do that if I was that person. If that happened to me, I wouldn't do that. Yes, you will. You don't know what you would do if you were in that person's shoes. You have no idea. So we have to be careful not to just judge people, but understand why they do what they do and where it came from. Okay? So if you look at, like I said, from that perspective, you can close the door to rejection and your own hurt and pain and how you deal with it. Okay, and this will start your journey to being an overcomer. So if you look at, like I said, Wonder Woman, and you look at what Ares did, which is the god that in the movie that Wonder Woman was trying to fight against. That was a strategic tactic of what he did. And I want you to pay attention to it. If you ever seen it, go watch it. But it's a perfect example. So what he was doing is Ares was whispering in people's ears. Because Wonder Woman was like, well, why'd you do this? Why did you do that? And he was like, I didn't do it. I didn't put a gun to their head and make them do evil things. I didn't make them hurt each other. I didn't cause them to they're already evil in themselves. But when you look at what he really was doing, as he was whispering in their ear, he was manipulating, he was lying, he was capitalizing off of their vulnerabilities, and he was exploiting it. And it was the perfect example to show what happens when you deal with negativity, negative thoughts, people speaking, as some people call it, word curses, or people speaking negative words against people. If you have somebody whose mother's on drugs and or doing stuff, and you have somebody in your life tell you just gonna be just like your mama, or you're gonna be just like your daddy, or stuff like that, speaking negative stuff. That's how that happens. They don't put a gun to your head, but when they speak that negative stuff in your head, it can become a part of you, especially if you don't know how to get rid of it. Okay? So when you look at that, you see how he was just whispering in people's ear, and he was just going from person to person. It was like, yeah, do this, and oh, here's the extra piece that you need to finish this gas to kill these people. And he was just doing that all the time. And you see how he accomplished. So that way, when towards the end of the movie, when one of them was finna kill her, she realized this woman was really innocent. She was really vulnerable. And she had rejection and hurt and pain. And she was operating out of that. But she was also manipulated into believing that she was loved and accepted by the wrong person. Okay? And I'm going to share with you one of my, how I suffer, one of the things how I suffered rejection a long time ago. When I was a kid. Well, it could be an open door probably when I was born, probably. Yeah, you can say that. So my father was not in my life at all. I love him dearly. He's deceased, but my father was not in my life, and I'm sure there's a lot of you that can attest to that. And I wanted him to be in my life, and that was one of my open doors to rejection. It caused me a lot of hurt, and it caused me a lot of pain, because my dad lived 45 minutes away from me, and I can count on 1 to 2 hands how many times I saw him, how many times I actually saw him and spent time with them. And so me as an adult now, I understand he had his own issues and he had things going on, but as a kid, you don't see that. You just thinking, why am I not worthy of love? I'm not worthy to be spent time with. Why won't you come see me? Why won't you be there? And so that's what goes on with the child's mind and a child's heart. So the first 14 years of my life, like I said, my dad lived 45 minutes away from me, and I seen him, like I said, from one hand to the next, probably 5 to 10 times maybe, that I can remember seeing him and actually spending time with him. And so I end up, so later on I ended up getting married young. And the one thing that I had to do before getting married was I had to forgive my dad. And so, and this was the reason why I had to forgive my dad, is because I did not want to take the baggage from the hurt and pain of what I dealt with my father to my marriage with my husband. Because my husband, he was a good guy. He was a good man. And he still is a good man and a good husband. But it wouldn't be fair for me to take all that hurt and all that pain that I suffered from my dad and put that on him. You know, thinking, is he going to abandon me? Is he not going to love me right? Is he not going to treat me right? Or always looking for him to make a mistake or look for him to mess up. And if he make a mistake, because what we have to do as people, we have to give people their own time to make a mistake. I had to give him his own chance to make a mistake. I can't base his mistakes that he make based upon what my dad did. That's not fair. That's not fair. And we as people, we do that because we get fearful and we get scared because we don't want to suffer that hurt and pain again. And that hurt and pain, it's like reopening that wound. And when you open that wound, you relive that hurt and that pain all over again. So I made a conscious decision to, try to do something so that, because I knew I was going to get married to this man, and I was happy and I wanted to be married to him because I loved him, but I knew that I could not take the baggage from my dad into my marriage with my husband. So, like I said, I asked God at that time to help me. How do I do that? And so, one thing, I thank God for my mom and that, because she was very strategic in helping me through that. And one thing I'll say about my mom, and I thank God for her, my mother never, as crazy or as not there my dad was, they say Papa was a rolling stone, wherever he laid his hat was his home. Yeah, my dad has some background in that, okay? But my mother never talked down about my father. She let me find out stuff on my own. But she never talked bad about him. She did not destroy him. She did not make bad comments about him like sometimes we hear mothers do or fathers do. She didn't do that. So I thank God for that, because she let me come to my own conclusion without adding extra hurt and pain on top of that. So I'm grateful to her about that. And but she told me one day, which helped me to forgive my dad, and she told me to not hold a grudge against him. And she said to me one day, she said, "Don't hold a grudge against your dad." I said, "Well, what you mean?" She said, "Because," she said, "he didn't have a father to teach him how to be a father. So if he didn't have a father to teach him how to be a father, how you expect him to be a father?" And I said, "You know what, Mom? You're right." It wasn't a quick response. "Yeah, Mom, you're right." No, it took me a minute to think about that, to process that. But after I processed that and I thought about it, I was like, you know what? She's right. Now, there are some fathers that don't have a father to teach them, and they do better. You have some men that's like that. They do better, because sometimes they do have other influences, uncles and grandparents or grandfathers that teach them. Or they have mentors that help teach them. And that is wonderful and that's great. But in my dad's life, he didn't really have that I know of. And so that was one thing that my mom shared with me was, don't hold it against him that bad like that. Don't hold that grudge against him, because he didn't have. And how do you expect somebody to do something if they haven't been taught to? So when she did that, I was like, you know what? It took me a minute to process, because at first I was like, no, but still, he wasn't there. He didn't do this and he didn't do that, and he didn't do this and he wasn't at this birthday and he didn't call me and he didn't, But after marinating on that of what she told to me, I was like, you know what? You're right. I can't hold this against him like that. I love him. That don't mean I still wasn't upset with the things he's done, but I understood that I could not hold that against him. I couldn't hold that grudge. And so I'm happy that I was able to let that go. I'm not going to say I let that go right away. It did take some time, but I made a conscious choice toward that to let that go. And that's all we're trying to do right now, is what I'm trying to show you, is start making a conscious choice to see things differently, to open your mind, so that way we can start to deal with those hurt and those innermost hurt and pain that we deal with, and be free from it, so that we can make better choices in our life. Like I said, this is not for just people who go to church. This is for people who don't go to church. Maybe you don't go to church. That's between you and God, whatever you serve. But that don't mean you still cannot deal with the rejection and the stuff in your life. Like I said before, everybody don't have money to go to a therapist. Some people don't have insurance to go to a therapist. But the one thing that you can do is that is free, is you can start looking deep down within yourself and stop being honest with you. That's the thing that you can do. You know what I'm saying? That's the beginning. And so like I said, people overcome situations better than some, but all we have to do is really just take that step. Just take that first step into just examining our life and examining ourselves. And so, and being that, being that my mother kept, like I said, like I said, I talked about my mama did not include me. And I want to say this. My mom did not talk down about my dad, but another thing that my mother didn't do is my mama didn't include me in her business with my father. And I'm grateful for that. And I want to say this, parents, please. Married parents, divorced parents, parents who got baby daddies, baby mamas, whatever. Please keep your children out of your adult business as much as you can. I know sometimes circumstances you can't shield them from everything. I understand that, but as much as possible, please keep your kids out of your adult business. I'm saying that for a reason. When I say adult business, keep kids out of adult business. When you put children in adult business and you that's another open door to rejection. But you're also taking their innocence away. They can't comprehend all of that, and they can't understand that. Right now, their mind and their brain is still developing, and you're putting adult situations, adult issues on them. That's too heavy for them. That's too much for them. They don't understand all of that. And you're forcing them to make adult decisions, and they're not ready for that. And that's how they get caught up in things that they shouldn't. And that's how these kids is getting depressed early. They shouldn't have to be depressed early, but it's the stuff that we include them in that they don't need to be included in as much as possible. Like I said, I know life situations is different for everybody. Everybody's walk is different. But as much as you can, please keep your children innocent as long as you can, and keep them out of adult stuff. They don't need to be feeling, and we're going to talk about this later, especially when dealing with kids of divorce, or dealing with kids that parents is having relationship issues or marital issues or whatever. Kids take that totally different than adults do. So please, I plead with you, parents. Keep your kids out of adult situations or adult business as much as possible. Please. It may look funny or cute when they say stuff now, but you don't understand you're taking a toll. It's taking a toll on their mind, and it opens the door even further to rejection. You don't see it, but it's doing it on the inside. And then later on, you'll see the results of it. And by that time, when you start seeing the results of it, it's too late. It is too late. And now sometimes it's going to take them a long time or some time to even get rid of that if they want to. So please, I'm going to say it again. Please keep children out of adult business. Please, that is not their place to be in. So I'm going to leave you with that, and next time we're going to talk even further into why we suffer rejection, because this is it is a big topic, and it covers a lot of different areas. So y'all have a blessed day.